Alrighty, folks, you know I'm feeling great on a Sunday morning because I'm now 8-2 in my last 10 $1.99 daily best plays on my premium page. And that's good for 80% during that stretch. And the good news is I have another daily best play going off here today. And if you sign up for that membership here today, it's only going to cost you just $1.99 for 30 days of service. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. You're going to get one of my premium selections every single day during that time frame. And if you think maybe you could use a couple more premium plays per day, well, you might as well go for it all and sign up for my full access, all-inclusive chairman package. I'm a perfect 7-0, my last 7 chairman membership package picks on that site right now. And chairman members get access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my chairman podcast absolutely free. It's included with your purchase. I currently have over 720 members who are signed up and active on my premium page right now. And you may be wondering what the difference is between what I'm doing here on YouTube and what I do on my premium site. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. What I do on my premium site is I actually share with you which one of these free picks I like the best. I'm 8-2 in my last 10 daily best plays, 9-4 in my last 13 extra daily picks. And once again, folks, I'm a perfect 7-0 in my last 7 chairman package picks on my premium page. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock Page. And with that, folks, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're actually going to start off with the Cardinals at the Commanders, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Washington's the 7-point favorite at home, totals 38. Now, I got to imagine the Commanders can cover this number here. They had an insanely tough defense last year. I think this is a team that not a lot of people are talking about right now, but I think they got a lot of talent. And I think they can surprise some people. Jamin Davis, he was the club leader in tackles last year. Deron Payne, great rusher. He had 11.5 sacks. The Commanders did a great job shutting down both the run and the pass. They shut down the run and the pass. They're facing an Arizona club who really couldn't do either last season, and looks like they're going to have to go to work with Joshua Dobbs as the starting quarterback in the opener here. The Cards were already in the bottom 3 in the NFC in yards per play with Kyler Murray at the helm last year. And when it comes to defensive play, the Cards allowed more points per game than any other roster besides one. This was a team that was very bad on both sides of the football. Now, total-wise, I'm not sure either offense is going to help this one get over the total. Plus, I can't imagine Arizona's going to move this ball too much against Washington. Like I said, they got a really tough defense. Give me the Commanders -7, under 38. Next game, Panthers-Falcons, 1 o'clock East. Atlanta's -4, totals 39.5. And even though Desmond Ridder seems like a safe choice for Atlanta, he played in just 4 games last year, and he had only 115 pass attempts. Not a whole lot of experience. I'm almost kind of viewing him as a rookie as well. And I'll tell you what, in that short sample size, Ridder threw for just $177 a game, and he has just 2 career touchdown passes in 4 games. Now, this Atlanta defense, they've also had a tough time slowing down the run last year. I've got to imagine Carolina's going to be run-heavy here today, going to run the ball considerably. The youngster Bryce Young's making his career debut, and I just don't think they're going to be slinging it 50 times here on Sunday. Now, this Carolina offensive line, they also help these guys get into the top 10 in the league in rush yards. They really didn't turn it over an awful lot either. Now, total-wise, I do think both quarterbacks are going to have little success moving the football here today. Neither club really has actually, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I think the quarterbacks will actually be able to move the ball a little bit. I don't know why I say I didn't think they would, because neither club has a dominating defense. Sorry, I'm so excited. We got a full slate of NFL. The words ain't coming out. Carolina +4 over 39.5. That's the play. Next game, Bengals, Browns, 1 o'clock East. Cincinnati's 2.5, totals 48. Joe Burrow, good to go, right? Like, I feel like he's healthy. I feel like he's good to go. I think that calf was good like a week ago, since he drug his status, making Cleveland prepare for 2 quarterbacks. But either way, Joey B coming off yet another solid season. Burrow threw for about 280 a game in the regular season last year, along with 35 total touchdowns. And obviously the duo of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins combined for well over 2,000 yards receiving between the both of them. And for a team who throws a lot, the Bengals dominated in time of possession. So look for those long, sustained drives. Now, defensively, the Bengals did a real nice job stuffing the run. And they're going to need that against Cleveland because the Browns, that backfield is tough, and they're going to run the football. Now, if they do that, if the Bengals slow down Cleveland in their run game, they got a real opportunity to win, because Cleveland's not known for airing it out. And as good as this Browns secondary was in spots, this Cleveland D still allowed over 5.5 yards per play from scrimmage at home. They were one of the more heavily penalized teams in the AFC. Now, 8 out of these teams' last 10 gatherings did get over the total. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. We've had a handful of fun ones over the years. Give me the Bengals -2.5, over 48. Next game, Texans, Ravens, 1 o'clock East. Baltimore's -10 at home, totals 43.5. I think Baltimore can score a lot. I think Baltimore can cover. They ran for about $1.60 a game, and actually a handful of those contests were without Lamar Jackson last year. So these guys can run with him or without him. And of course, this Baltimore defense, real tough to score against. They hardly gave up any points for the most part of the season last year, and they recorded a boatload of fumbles. Patrick Queen, he was the club leader in tackles. He had a handful of fumble recoveries as well. Meanwhile, Williams and Humphrey, they had 7 combined interceptions from that Baltimore secondary. Now, they're facing a Houston club who's going to throw C.J. Stroud out there to the Wolves. This Houston O-line allowed 38 sacks last season, a little bit over 2 a game. And the worst problem for Houston is this rush defense. They allowed more yards a game on the ground last year than any other franchise in the league. I think the Ravens could potentially put this one over the total themselves. Give me Baltimore -10, over 43.5. Next ball game, Jags, Colts, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Jacksonville is -4.5 on the road, totals 45. Now, I do think the Jags continue to build on what they had last year. These guys were a top 5 scoring team in the AFC on the road, very good offensively in their travels. And when it comes to defensive play, these guys also did a nice job stopping the run. And of course, they're going to need that on Sunday, because I think Indy's going to be running the football an awful lot. Foye Oluokun had 184 tackles for the Jags and a dozen TFLs. Meanwhile, Josh Allen had 7 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and a scoop and score. He's going to be rushing the newcomer Anthony Richardson. And even though the youngster's a physical specimen, he went just 6-7 in his career at the University of Florida. He completed only 53% of his passes last year with the Gators, and he threw only 17 touchdowns. So this is like a guy I'm not overly excited about. And I'll tell you what, that certainly is not going to help this Indy offense, who already scored fewer points a game than any other team last year except for one. I don't know if they improved at quarterback. I think they got worse at QB. Now, the Colts averaged just 19 points a game in their last 10 gatherings with Jacksonville. So once again, if you're into historical trends, Indy typically does not score much against their divisional foes here. Now, the Jags saw 4 out of their final 5 ball games of 2022. Stay under. Give me Jacksonville -4.5, under 45. Next game, Niners-Steelers, 1 o'clock East. San Francisco's -3 on the road. Totals 41.5. Now, I'm not completely sold on the quarterback position in San Francisco. Brock Purdy averaged just 152 yards passing a game last year. If you need a game manager, you had one in Jimmy G, and he produced a little bit more. And who knows how that injury has healed for Purdy. Now, injury-wise, the Niners' leading rusher is an injury-prone Christian McCaffrey, who actually rushed for only 746 in the regular season last year. And they're facing a Pittsburgh team who was tough against the run last season, especially at Heinz Field. I know it's Acrisure Stadium. I'm always going to call it Heinz Field. Pittsburgh had a top 3 rush defense at home in the AFC. Alex Highsmith had 14.5 sacks. Cam Hayward, 10.5 sacks himself. Look for these guys to get some pressure on this San Francisco offensive line who got, 3 quarterbacks badly injured last year in the playoffs. Now, total-wise, no mistake about it. We're seeing 2 of the toughest defensive clubs in the game, at least on paper. The Steelers also saw 4 out of their final 6 ball games of 2022 stay under the line. I think the Steelers can keep it close. Give me Pittsburgh +3, under 41.5. Next game, Bucks, Vikes, 1 o'clock East. Minnesota's the 6-point favorite at home. Totals 45. For a team laying a touchdown here, I'm not sure Minnesota's good enough defensively. They allowed more yards a game through the air at home than any other secondary in the league last year. As a matter of fact, this Vikings defensive unit allowed over 5.9 yards per play from scrimmage. Now, I get it. Tampa's probably not going to come out guns blazing offensively, but I do think they can do enough defensively to keep themselves in it. Tampa was in the top 3 in the NFC and fewest points allowed on the road. Levante David and Devin White, they had nearly 250 tackles between the both of them. And this Tampa secondary did a real nice job defending the pass. Now, total-wise, I don't expect a defensive clinic in this one particularly. The Vikes did go 8-2 to the over in their final 10 ball games of 2022 as well. Might see a little bit more points than you think. Give me Tampa Bay +6, keeping that one close, over 45. Next ball game, Titans Saints, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. New Orleans is the 3-point favorite at home. Totals 42. Now, I think Derek Carr should have a field day with this Tennessee defense. The Titans secondary allowed more yards a game through the air than any other team in the NFL last year. And defensively, I actually think the Saints should expose the one-dimensional offensive scheme of Tennessee. New Orleans was in the top 3 in the NFC last year in fewest yards allowed per play. Demario Davis led the charge with 109 tackles. Matthew and Werner had over 170 tackles between the both of them. Of course, they're facing a Tennessee team who's no threat throwing the football. These guys threw for 135 yards a game on the road. They were terrible passing the football. And this Tennessee O-line, they allowed 49 sacks last year somehow. So for a team who ran the ball, they allowed 49 sacks. Just for reference on how little of a threat these guys are to throw, their leading returning receiver is tight end Chigi Okonkwo. He averaged just 26 yards a game receiving last year. Now, total-wise, we saw a ton of unders between both of these teams last season. Tennessee went 7-3 to the under in their final 10. New Orleans went 9-1 to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Saints -3, under 42. Next game, Packers-Bears, 425 East. Green Bay is -1. Total is 42.5. Not on our big screen. No, there it is. Now, I don't particularly trust the new look Packers here. Really tough for an organization to replace a generational talent like Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay also lost their leading receiver in Alan Lazard, as well as tight end Robert Tonyan. Nice safety valve there. Their top returning receiver is Christian Watson, who averages 43 yards receiving a game, and I think I saw a report that he's out. I saw him on the injury list, so I don't know. I don't think things are looking good for the Packers. Now, on the other side of the ball, defensive leader Adrian Amos, he left town for New York as well. As bad as Justin Fields was throwing the football for Chicago last year, well, I mean, he didn't really get a whole lot of time back there. He was sacked an embarrassing amount of times. But Chicago was able to run the ball. They managed to rush for over 3,000 yards last year as a team. They also returned safety Jaquan Brisker on defense, who had 104 tackles and forced a couple of turnovers. So look to him for leadership. Now, look, I get it. It's going to be an ugly game. I'd be surprised if either quarterback threw a touchdown today. I'd be surprised if either quarterback threw for over 175 yards. This game could very well end in a tie. But if that is the case, I want the team catching a point. Give me Chicago +1 under 42.5. All right, next ball game, Raiders, Broncos, 425 East. Denver's the 4-point favorite at home. Total's 44. And I don't know why. I'm just not sure of the chemistry between Russ and Sean Payton. I don't think there's a lot of synergy there. Very culturally different. Fundamentally different. Peyton's a crass, no-nonsense guy. Russ, kind of fluffy, overly positive. Plus, to be fair, Russ just really stunk last year. You know, talented defense behind him and really failed. Russ struggled to complete 60% of his passes, and he threw only 16 touchdowns for the season. Now, he was also very little threat with his legs. The QB averaged just 18 yards a game on the ground. And one more thing to add here, guys. The Broncos did not have a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver on the team last year. These guys were terrible offensively, and Russ was the leader. And he's back. He's the leader again this year. Now, they're facing a Raider team who wasn't great on defense themselves last year, but they did do a nice job slowing down the run on the road. Of course, they also return a dominant force in Max Crosby. He had 89 tackles from the edge along with 12.5 sacks. This is a guy you have to game plan around. Crosby also forced 3 fumbles and had a staggering 22 tackles for loss. This he changes up your blocking scheme. You know, he changes what your tailback does in the backfield on a passing play. I mean, you really got a game plan around this guy. And of course, as much as people disregard Jimmy Garoppolo, he's had a ton more success in this league than a lot of other quarterbacks. He's a game manager. He wins games, doesn't lose them for you, keeps you in it, knows the game. You're in good hands with Jimmy G, in my opinion. Now, total-wise, points have come at a premium in this rivalry. 7 out of these teams' last 10 gatherings fell under the total. Meanwhile, 4 out of the Raiders' final 6 ball games of 2022 also stayed under the line. Give me the Raiders +4 under 44. Next matchup, Rams, Seahawks, 425 East. Seattle is -5.5, totals 46. Now, I don't like this number here, but I do think the Seahawks cover. They're efficient enough on offense to move the football. They've also been tough to throw against on their own field. Reek Woolen had 6 interceptions from this secondary last season. Jordan Brooks had 161 tackles. They're taking on a Rams team who scored just 13 points a game last year on the road. Really terrible offensively when traveling. And even though Matt Stafford should be healthy enough to perform, I just think him and Sean McVay mentally checked out after that Super Bowl win. It was such a grind for both of them to get to that point. And I feel like a handful of these Rams veterans are kind of like left with nothing much to prove in their minds. Hungry would not be a word that I could describe them with. Now, 4 out of Seattle's last 5 ball games of 2022 fell under the total. Give me Seattle -5.5 under 46. Next game, Dolphins Chargers, 425 East. LA's -3, totals 51. Now, this does feel like a shootout game to me. And if that is the case, I do like Justin Herbert in this spot. I like him over Tua. Justin threw for over 4,700 yards and completed 68% of his passes last season. And he's going up against a Miami secondary who is one of the worst in the league. They were in the bottom 3 in yards allowed through the air on the road. And speaking of road games, Miami allowed more points a game on the road than any other team in the league. They were terrible defensively while traveling. And if you can slow down Hill and Waddle on offense, the Finns did very little to establish a run game. Their leading rusher, Raheem Mostert, he averaged only 55 yards a game on the ground last season. And if this game turns out to be a close one, which I think it will be, the Dolphins continuously shot themselves in the foot last year with penalties. Same coach, same culture. Not real sure how they're going to clean that up. 6 out of Miami's final 10 ball games got over the total. The Chargers went 60% to the over in their final 10 of 2022 themselves. Give me the Chargers -3 over 51. Next matchup, Eagles-Patriots, 425 East. Philadelphia is the 4-point favorite on the road, totals 45. And if you're a Philly backer here, I think this game might be a little bit more tricky than you think. Playing in Foxborough, season opener, no easy task. Motivation factor, Tom Brady's going to be there. Plus, Super Bowl hangovers are very real. We saw it with the Chiefs on Thursday. Super Bowl hangovers for the runner-up, very real as well. Now, defensively, the Birds lost their DC and their top 5 tacklers. Meanwhile, on the offensive side of things, the Birds lost their offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen. And they also lost 1,200-yard rusher Miles Sanders. Now, they're facing a Patriots team who was very tough to score against at Gillette Stadium last year. The Pats were in the top 3 in fewest yards allowed per play at home. And a lot of that was thanks to this New England secondary. These guys allowed just 186 yards a game through the air in Foxborough. Jawan Bentley had a team-high 125 tackles. Jonathan Jones had 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and he blocked a kick. 6 out of the Pats' final 10 ball games last year did stay under the total. Philadelphia won 5-2 to the under in their last 7. Give me New England +4, under 45. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It's going to be in this Cowboys-Giants game, Sunday Night Football. That'll be an 8:20 Eastern kickoff. Dallas is -4 on the road, totals 46. And for some reason, I just remember Dallas choking in obvious spots like this. Like, they obviously have more talent and they're better in almost every aspect of the game. But I just can't remember, like, the last time they won a season opener. I think it was back in, like, 2019. It just feels like these guys always go into week 1 flat. I feel like their camps aren't as tough and as physical as other organizations. Once again, this is a team that I can't describe as hungry in August, right? I do think these guys are going to have a tough time slowing down the run. They're facing a Giants team who ran for over $152 a game in the Meadowlands last year. I think they're going to come out and punch them in the nose. I think they're going to be a little bit more physical. And when it comes to defensive play, this Giants secondary did play well at home. They allowed under 190 yards a game passing at MetLife Stadium. Dexter Lawrence and Azeez Ojulari, they had 13 sacks between the both of them. When it comes to the total, 7 out of these teams' last 10 gatherings did get over the number. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Now, the Giants went 7-3 to the over in their final 10 games of 2022 themselves. Give me the G-Men +4 over 46. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Give me the Commanders -7, under 38. Carolina Panthers +4, over 39.5. I'm hitting at 80%. My last 10 daily best plays on my premium page. And the good news is I have another $1.99 daily best play going off each and every single day on that page. It's only going to cost you just $1.99. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. The link for that pick is in my bio. Give me the Bengals minus 2.5 over 48. Ravens minus 10 over 43.5. Jaguars minus 4.5 under 45. Steelers plus 3 under 41.5. Buccaneers plus 6 over 45. Saints minus 3 under 42. Bears plus 1 under 42.5. Raiders plus 4 under 44. Seahawks minus 5.5 under 46. Chargers minus 3 over 51. Patriots plus 4 under 45. With my next and final free pick, give me the Giants plus 4 over 46.